Hello and welcome to Rain's Kitchen and Garden. My name is Rain. Today I'm making cornbread. This is part of my bread baking series where I'm baking every one of the 40 recipes from the Williams-Sonoma Collection recipe cookbook titled Bread. I hope you enjoy it, and please don't forget to check out my bread playlist for other delicious bread making videos. Alright, let's make some delicious cornbread. The first thing that I did was I preheated my oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 190 Celsius or gas mark 5. And I've buttered up my 8-inch round springform pan. The original recipe calls for a 9-inch pan, but I didn't have a 9-inch pan, so I've got my 8-inch pan here, and I'm hoping that that'll work out okay. I may have to cook it a little longer. I'm going to see at the end and I'll let you know. So here in my mixing bowl I have 1 2/3 cup of fine yellow cornmeal. That's about 280 grams. And I'm going to add some all-purpose flour. I have 1 2/3 cup, that's 265 grams of all-purpose flour. I have some brown sugar, half a cup or 125 grams. I have some baking powder, 2 tablespoons or 27 grams, and I've got some salt, 1 teaspoon or 8 grams. And I'm going to mix all of that up together. I probably could have used a larger bowl for this. But you know, sometimes when I'm making my videos, I want them to look nice. I don't want to have like really shiny things. Like I've got a really nice aluminum bowl that I need for when I'm making my bread, my other bread, when there's more than one loaf, because you need it. You need a lot of room. But this one I was trying to make it look a little nicer. So you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to grab my whisk and I'm going to whisk all that up. I think that'll be an easier way to blend all of the dry ingredients here. Yeah, that works better. Now I've altered these ingredients a little bit because it's based on what I have at home and my preferences. So if you want to follow the original Williams-Sonoma recipe, feel free to check out the description below. I've left a link for it where I've transcribed it and you can follow the exact original recipe. All right, that's blended well. So I'm going to make a little well in the center and I'm going to add my wet ingredients. So my wet ingredients are 1 2/3 of a cup of whole milk. That is 405 milliliters. Just pouring that right into the center. I have 4 large, lightly beaten eggs here. This bowl is going to be full. And I have some melted unsalted butter, which I've let cool for a little bit. There's 115 grams here. That's a half a cup plus 2.5 tablespoons. So I'm going to mix this up until it's just combined, because we don't want to over mix this dough. It should be a little bit lumpy. But I'm being careful right now because my bowl is completely full. I'm going to start by folding it a little bit and then I'll mix it up, just so the flour and the dry ingredients don't fly all over the place. I've only made cornbread once before, and I made it from an actual packaged box where it had all of the dry ingredients, and I think you just added eggs and milk. And it was okay, but it was really super grainy, because I'm not one who eats a lot of cornbread. I love it, it's delicious, but for some reason I never actually thought about making it. But when I got that Sonoma bread cookbook, I saw it in there and I was like, yeah, I want to try that with some beans. That's going to be really good. So make sure you scrape down the sides and scrape the bottom to make sure that you've got all of that incorporated well. Let's see if I did it. If you see any flour or dry ingredients, keep mixing. But like I said, don't overmix, and do this by hand. Don't do this with a mixer because you might overmix with an electric mixer. All right, I think I've got everything incorporated. So I'm going to pour this into my pan now. Yeah, everything's incorporated well. Okay, off camera I poured all of this into my pan because the bowl was quite heavy and I couldn't maneuver that on camera. So what I'm doing is I'm just wiping off any bits on the sides. And this is ready to go into the oven. So basically I'm going to bake this in the oven until it's golden brown around the edges and around the top. The original recipe calls for it to be 25 to 30 minutes in the oven. I'm going to check it at the 30-minute mark. I'm going to stick in a toothpick, and if it comes out clean, then I know it's ready. My cornbread is done. It puffed up really nicely. Look at that. It's nice and brown on the top and brown around the sides. And I took my skewer here and I poked it a couple of times. I left it in for 30 minutes and it's come out completely clean. So I know that my cornbread is baked. So now I'm going to let it stand for about 15 minutes and then I'm going to take it out of the springform pan and cut it into pieces and try it. I'm just going to take a butter knife and I'm just going to go around the sides of the pan just to be sure that nothing is sticking. I've let this cool for 15 minutes. It really rose up there. The cornbread that I used to make never rose like this. It was like a brick. So I'm going to release the spring pan now. Oh, look at that. Look at that. See how nice and brown it is on the sides? That's very nice. I'm very pleased with this. Okay, I'm going to cut a little piece here. It definitely smells amazing. Now I have to remember the bottom of the springform pan is still under there. So I don't want to cut that. I'm going to cut it just like I would cut a piece of cake. Well, my friends, you might notice something. My cornbread is much darker in this scene, and I had already cut it. That's because when I originally cut it in the last take, I noticed that in the middle, when I got to the middle with my knife, the inside of the bread was liquidy, which is really weird because you could see my skewer marks here. I put in the skewer, it came out clean, and for some reason the very, very middle of the bread was not cooked yet. So I put this back into the oven for a further 15 minutes. I tested it again and it was cooked, but there were some crumbs on it, so I decided to put it in for a full hour. The recipe called for 30 minutes. Mine went in for a full hour, and when I go in now, right in the middle, it's clean. Okay, so it should be fully cooked. That's the thing about being a home baker. You know, I don't have a professional kitchen. I don't have an expensive oven. So, and I don't always have the same size pans as the recipe calls for. So you kind of have to improvise once in a while. and you have to test. Always make sure you test. Don't rely 100% on the recipe, and that includes not relying 100% on my recipes. So let's cut it and see what it looks like inside. All right, let's see if I can get my knife under there, because remember, it's still on the bottom of the spring pan. It's cutting very well. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's definitely cooked. It's still steaming a little bit. Why don't I put it on its side here? Look at that cornbread. Doesn't that look good? With a little bit of butter. I hope that you enjoyed this video, my friends, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please leave me a comment. Do you like cornbread? Do you eat cornbread? And what do you eat it with? I'd love to know, because like I said, I love this stuff, but I rarely make it. I would definitely like to make it again though. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Rain's Kitchen and Garden. Bye!